taxes. Of course, it's the government and government's related department, which is FBR in this case. We have not done it. This is not in last 3 months that we have not been able to hit that target. It is a consistent story with all kind of big leaders, small leaders, mid-sized leaders, military dictators, civilian dispensation. This is a constant story. And this is the challenge of governance. Instead of historical criticism of different things, if we start having these sort of rational conversations, we would exactly know where we are failing and why we are failing. Whether it is the health services or the educational services, if you want to ensure and spread it out as a nation, as a country, the first and foremost thing is that you develop your taxation system properly. All of us want to live in a Scandinavian ideal world, like the lifestyle in Norway and Denmark and the rest. Their contribution, tax contribution to their GDP is 91%. Ours is 9%. So I want to have a Denmark for contributing 9% as compared to 91%. It can remain in my wish list, but I can't have that. It's painful. It's painful. It's slow. Both. So what do you do? As a caretaker, I can proudly say that after many years, we are the one in last quarter, we have achieved our tax target. This is amazing. If we could do it in 3 months, why the rest of the governments can't do it is for the people like yourself. They need to answer and raise these questions. We did it. It's documented, it's published yesterday that in last quarter, we were able to achieve the tax target in the FBR. So if it can be done in 3 months, it means that it is practical, it's possible, and if it is not happening, there is something very seriously wrong with our governance structure. This is my opinion on it.
Two is both the people and the government.
Yeah, of course, government is part of the people. I mean, if I am electing a government, so I'm contributing towards that either resolution or the problem. So I am part of the problem. And when you become in the government, and I have lended that support to you, so it means the two of us have brought it to the tango.
Mr. Prime Minister, why do we always go into frenzy and last-minute coping mechanisms, shut down the schools and do this and that? Why can't we be like Beijing and control this issue? I mean, crop burning is one of the prescriptions, but then there is no law enforcement. You go on the motorway and people are doing it without any fear of repercussions or them being caught. So what do you have to say about that?
I completely agree with you. I mean, the enforcement is one of the challenges, as you have identified yourself in your question. The poor enforcement is part of the problem of the governance in this country. There are laws, they exist, but if he goes and tries to implement and apprehend that man, you would start agitating that his rights are being violated. And there is a group of rights emerge in this country wherever the law enforcement goes for the enforcement. There are occasions on which the law enforcement also are compliant for multiple reasons. Financial mismanagement, few others, political influence, they are there. But on the other hand, society also has a tendency to stop enforcement. So we are living in this milieu. Poor development and capacity building of the law enforcement agencies. Lack of ethos. I mean, if you go and observe your bureaucracy who has to implement, you will be surprised the kind of a value system probably they personally hold. That is appalling, that is shocking, that is disappointing to say the least. We have a structure of a bureaucracy which does not have a sense of identity that what was the Ottoman Empire? the Janissaries were the most committed group which ensured the structure of the empire. And those Ottomans were able to expand their good or bad agenda up till Eastern Europe, primarily because of the Janissaries. If you go and see the structure of any nation state, empire, or anywhere in the documented history, there is a structure of the bureau who takes and furthers and forwards the agenda which is linked to that identity. In our case, it's missing. It is unfortunately missing. You don't know who they are enforcing the laws for, or they themselves are pretty much confused. So there is a structural issue at the level of the enforcement which needs some radical changes, in my opinion. Whether somebody does that or doesn't, you need a civil structure reforms. Until and unless you don't do that, from the burning of the crop up till allowing a vehicle on the motorway which is not fit environmentally, are both part of the challenge. So we need to address that as soon as possible. I don't know whether this policemen agree with it, but this is my opinion.
But then you mentioned radical change. Who will bring it, and how? Like, what is the prescription? Will we keep dying? Our lungs are practically collapsing. So what is the prescription?
Radical changes are required. This is all I can say. By whom? Let's find the noun. Let's find the person or persons in the time. They are placed somewhere in the future. If somebody can peek in the future, they will know it.
But I am still pessimistic. I haven't found the answer, Mr. Prime Minister. Give us a noun.
Well, this is my art to evade answers, you know. It's not the art to give all the answers.
Well, Mr. Prime Minister, now coming to some serious questions. You recently banned all these celebrations on New Year's Eve in solidarity with the Palestinians. While it was well intended, Mr. Prime Minister, it raised two questions. A, about law enforcement, and B, about the global image of Pakistan. I mean, for the first one, celebrations still took place in the absence of law. For the global image, I mean, Pakistan, the only Muslim nuclear-powered country, has now gone to a status that when generations are being literally wiped out, this is what we are doing, banning fireworks. What do you have to say about that?
First of all, there was a lot of criticism also, and there was a lot of appreciation behind this decision. So there is a mix of both. There is a section of society which wanted to celebrate the New Year, and down the line, after 100 years, they wanted to be documented as someone on that particular second, 12 o'clock, 1 second, dancing and having festivity and so on and so forth. So they're very, very critical of this decision, and I don't mind of the criticism. Our intention first was to highlight that in the global community, particularly on the Western Hemisphere, that there is a nation of 240 million people who officially has distanced itself from the festivity because of the kind of the genocide which is being committed by this apartheid state of Israel, which is brutal, which has applied a disproportionate force, whose existence is also at question, but they are expressing this brutal, are displaying the force of this brutality in a very, with impunity. So what are our options? One, do we go to the war? Yes. I am an interim prime minister. Do you expect me to take the 240 million people to the war? Probably a nuclear war. So you are very quite serious people and raising a very serious question to me. Think about it. Have a grand assembly. Mull over it. I can't alone take such a big decision. It's huge. It's big. Should we go to war? I mean, in my personal opinion, I am a very aggressive and a jingoistic person. Maybe I would say yes, but don't listen to me. War has implications. War is not a joke. What we have done, we have exploited the forum of OIC, we have exploited other international forums, we have been engaging with Western diplomats, particularly the US diplomats, Brits, Europeans, and clearly enunciating them, telling them that if such behavior continues, it would be responsible for radicalizing the entire 1.4 billion Muslim population throughout the globe, within West and over here, Middle East, North Africa, anywhere. So we are trying, the immediate objective is that somehow or other we stop this senseless war and create a humanitarian corridor. This is the kind of a message which the military leadership recently took the United States. And we were quite clear in our opposition and our condemnation and our commitment towards Palestinians. Is it wise on this occasion to initiate a war? And who are you, me, and anyone else who feels so passionate about Palestine and its cause? We have not lost a finger in this war, this single finger. There 9,000 children have been killed. Let them decide. There is no need to be heroic over here in this peaceful, cozy environment. And just thinking that, oh, I'm so heroic, that because I stand with the oppressed one. It's very good. It's very good, but they are the one who are suffering, they are the one who are facing. Let's take this question first to them, that whether they are willing to take this war and in which direction. Over here they are calling conferences and seminars and speaking with all their rhetorics. I completely understand. I am more radical than all these so-called people who play on these rhetorics. But I try to control my populist tendency. These are very serious. Is there any idea to all of them that what is the situation of Zionism, what is the link to a Judaic religion, how is Palestine already agreed to the historical, 22% of the Palestine to the historical existence of Palestine already. The whole world is talking on the pre-1967 border line with Al-Quds as its present. But here in Lahore or Islamabad, they are addressing the seminars that no, we don't want to accept this and we will never agree to it. Who are you? Have you identified yourself? Who are you? Are you Palestinians? Are you going to reside there? Are you going to counter the state of Israel? Their wrath, their planes, their bullets are my child. I have one by the one. Am I willing to risk his life for this? Or all these who are addressing these conferences? What are their credentials? Primarily it is their right. We should just support them whatever they say. We should be on their side no matter what. Instead of creating a front against the state of Israel, they have started a front against the current government. Wow. Good luck. Great. I get baffled. That what, are you genuinely committed to that cause? Or you just want to abuse me? Go ahead, do it. Am I Netanyahu? And what are the practical suggestions? 1.4 billion Muslims are pondering and thinking about this challenge. I would be only remembered in history for allowing the aerial firing or not, or allowing someone to have a glass of alcohol or not. Let the history judge me. I don't care. I don't care at all. Yes, it was a gesture. The governments, they display small little gestures in the diplomatic communication, so the messages are sent. This message was not for domestic audience, it was more for a global audience. And there was a huge criticism on that account, so let it be.
But sir, the criticism, as you rightly pointed out, there can be some justification for that. Why it's mere ceremonial? We could have done something.
Like?
Why didn't we call out those who are supporting the genocide? They are our allies. Why are we silent and not naming them?
The kind of confrontation we have done with Western diplomats, problem is that I am bound by certain laws that I can't make it public. The kind of passionate and full of emotions, and at times, I'll just give you one small example. Few Western diplomats said that Pakistan should have a balanced view of the crisis in the Middle East, as the Israeli children, they have also been killed. So I asked him that, okay, Excellency, can you, in order to address the anger of the Israelis, which according to you also deserves attention. So can you give us a number, how much children do you need to kill so that the Israel anger gets satisfied? 50, 100, 2, 3,000, 2? We just want to have a number. And they were speechless. So of course we do challenge them, confront them, but we cannot make all those things public. For the diplomatic reasons, for the reasons which is known and documented in the statecraft. How do you do statecraft? You don't bring such conversation to the public. And I cannot bring whole of it. I can refer that, well, I had a very strong position vis-a-vis Middle East with diplomats. But I cannot produce it to the public that this is what I have said and these are the sort of replies we have got. No government does that. So why should our government do that?
Mr. Prime Minister, coming to the question of Balochistan, firstly, who could have thought the state would be taken over by two Balochistanis?
No, we have not taken over the state, for God's sake. Yeah, okay, carry on.
So, Mr. Prime Minister, the recent happenings in Islamabad has elicited, I'm speechless. They're my own people. I'm sure you share the same feelings. But the problem is you did condemn and you did call on a meeting and you did form a committee. What do you have to say about the kind of treatment meted out to the protesters, which had large number of women and children? And that brings me to the question as to who will rejuvenate the relationship of Balochistan with the center. I don't see any reconciliation attempts working anytime soon.
Thank you. How many of you are interested to listen to this question's answer? Quite impressive, okay. First of all, whenever there are protesters, the protests and the agitation has to be within the limits of law. Do we all agree on this? That you have got the right to protest, no, you don't agree? Okay, good. But when you agitate, every government has certain laws, even in democracies. In dictatorship, they have got their own rules and laws, but it has to be demonstrated by the law. And if those laws are violated, then the role of the enforcement comes, that they try to enforce those laws. So this is the general understanding and a civic sense in which a political environment operates in any country. So is the case in Pakistan. This water cannon, which is more criticized, or slightly probably more than that, there was a lathi charge also. More than 200 instances I can quote from the European Union where they have used these water cannons to curb, control agitation within those countries. So these are the so-called international best practices. First of all, God forbid, there was not the case that we have shot at children or women, or we have gone to extreme positions. They were the basic tactics of law enforcement, water cannon and others. Because they were stone pelting, which was reported to me, so that stone pelting had to be stopped by someone. By whom? The role of the law enforcement was there to stop them. And after that, they made few arrests, which again is according to the law, their inherent and basic right. And when they were taken to the custody, to different police stations, they were released probably within 48 or 72 hours. Some 30 to 34, which were facing the identity parade, they were the prime suspects for the stone pelting. When they went through that, eventually they have been also released. And still all those women, as we speak here in this hall, they are agitating in front of Islamabad Press Club. That basic right of agitation has been recognized and accepted by the state. What are we doing to them? Why are we being portrayed as followers of pharaohs who have just asked them, don't do the stone pelting? What have we done? I would be interested, and I would stand more educated if somebody could tell me that no, you have done ordered the shooting, or any other extreme measures have been taken by the government. We can talk about the Balochistan situation, reconciliation, relation with the center in a very separate mode. I am willing to respond to that. But as far as this specific incident is concerned, don't you know that they are still agitating? The famous lady who's leading that agitation procession, she's there along with her friends. The journalists in Islamabad, they go, they interview them, they record that interview. They are on the digital space, in electronic media. In every hour's news, there is an allotment of time for them. All of you are aware of it. So what have government done? Oh, a government of Pharaoh. ये फिरौन जो है इन्होंने रोक लिया. क्या किया? You tell me, what have we done? Water cannon? Please try to understand that there is a government, and when the government faces a challenge tactically in which there is stone pelting or some other forceful things to change that order, the government has to enforce law. You can demand that no, law cannot be enforced. Then it's a jungle. Law has to be enforced, no matter whether somebody likes it or dislikes it. If you have any other question on Balochistan, I'm willing to answer.
My name is Hassan Shabir and I'm from the School of Economics. My question is this, that we've had military operations where our soldiers have given their lives to achieve this peace, and our civilians indirectly gave their lives to achieve this peace. And we saw peace for a few years. So why is this sudden increase in attacks, and who's to blame? Is the government in Afghanistan, the Taliban government, to blame, or has our military might failed us, or have the civilian diplomatic talks failed us, because at the end of the day, it's our own people who die. It's our own brothers and sisters of the soil who die. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. I think so. This is one of the most pertinent questions I've faced throughout my visits in different universities. Thanks for asking it. There is a discipline in which people in different universities now teach on insurgency and non-state actors. And I would suggest, please, do consult some of the academic work in this area. Usually these insurgencies, they follow certain principles. These non-state actors, they follow certain principles. One principle is the principality of existence, survivability. This is one of the principles. That their entire strategy revolves around survivability, that how would we survive? Why? Because they always are numerically at a disadvantage. And the states which are fighting them are advantageous as far as the numbers are concerned. Second is the principle of lethality, that if they are more lethal, they will be more receiving attention, they will be more spectacular, and so on and so forth. So this classic TTP run phenomena is following both the principle of survivability and the principle of lethality. The insurgencies at times, they carry on for centuries. We don't understand and appreciate the nature of such wars. I come from a tribal background. There were two tribes. I'm sure there must be Pashtuns amongst you, Salman Khail and Nasser. There are two major Pashtun tribes. They fought for 135 years amongst themselves. So to us, it's not a surprise. We are quite familiar with such situations. When the Jang-e-Jamal was there, were they brothers or they were enemies to each other? And who were they? Who were they trained by? What sort of quality individuals they were? So I don't feel that they are my brothers. I don't. I feel anyone is my brother or sister who's peaceful. The one who reverts to violence loses the right of brotherhood. That is a point which needs to be noted, which needs to be discussed, which needs to be understood. For instance, God forbid, I'm giving a very bad example. One amongst the siblings, one sibling eliminates, kills his brother or sister. How would he be treated by the parents? And even if he's forgiven, he kills another one. And then another one. So what do? You have to be clear on all such strategic angles. I am a staunch Deobandi Pashtun. So what should I do? Make Hakimullah Masood my hero? I have exercised my choice. I am with State of Pakistan. He is not my brother, he is my enemy. And you try to eliminate enemies. Anyone who is challenging in violent terms through organized crime, politically, ethnically, religiously, is the enemy of the state, is the enemy of that social order. You can have all kinds of disagreements, but no one can give you the license to kill. No one can give you the right to eliminate the other. So the responsibility of the state is, inshallah, we are ensuring that we have a plan. It is not a challenge that they will prevail on the state of Pakistan. Never. Inshallah. You can be a tahajjud guzar or a very liberal man. That is your choice. But no violence.
Yes, Zainab Hamid. Assalamu alaikum, Prime Minister. First of all, a very warm welcome to you, and I think me, myself, and everyone else here is honored to be interacting with you here today. I'm going to proceed with my question. سوال میں آپ سے اردو میں کروں گی اور سوال یہ ہے کہ ہم نے اکثر اوقات یہ دیکھا ہے کہ اگر ہم نے یوسف رضا گیلانی صاحب کو ہٹانا ہو یا نواز شریف صاحب کو ہٹانا ہو یا ایون کہ اگر آپ نے قاسم کے ابا کو گرفتار کروانا ہو تو ہماری عدالتیں رات کے 12 بجے بھی کھول دی جاتی ہیں، لیکن جب بھی کوئی زینب مرڈر کیس یا موٹر وے گینگ ریپ کیس یا اس طرح کا کوئی بھی کیس ہوتا ہے تو ہماری عدالتیں بند رہتی ہیں. نور مقدم کیس پہ ہم نے یہ دیکھا کہ ہماری عدالت کھولتی گئی. Question to you is, isn't justice denied, justice late, justice denied? That's my only question.
Thank you for asking in Urdu. اردو زبان مجھے بڑی پسند ہے. ایسا نہیں ہے کہ میں اردو کی ادائیگی میں مجھے کوئی مسئلہ ہے. بہت سارے لوگ یہ سمجھتے ہیں کہ میں اپنی انگریزی دانی چھاڑنا چاہتا ہوں. دیکھو آپ نے پوری بات جو کی ہے اپنے سوال میں اپنا جواب بھی میرے خیال میں دے چکی ہیں آپ. میرے لیے کہنے کو بہت کم چھوڑا ہے آپ نے، لیکن اس کے باوجود میں کچھ نہ کچھ ضرور کہوں گا اس پہ. یہ جو پورا کا پورا نظام عدل ہے اس پہ بڑے سنگین سوالات ہیں، اور جب تک اس نظام عدل کو ہم ایڈریس نہیں کریں گے، اس میں کسی کا ابا ہو یا کسی کی اماں ہو یا کسی کی باجی ہو یا وہ خود ہو، محفوظ رہنا مشکل ہے. یہی آپ کو پروٹیکٹ کرتا ہے نا یہ نظام، اور وہ چند رہنما اصول ہوتے ہیں آپ کے. مسئلہ یہی ہے کہ قاسم کے ابا جب خود ہوتے ہیں نا تو ان کو حمید کی اماں بالکل نظر نہیں آ رہی ہوتی، وہ ناؤنس کے جھگڑے میں پھنس جاتے ہیں. جب تک میں ہوں آج تو مجھے سب کچھ درست نظر آ رہا ہے، جب کل آپ اس جگہ پہ ہوں گی تو وہ مجھے درست نظر نہیں آ رہا ہوگا. ایک تو اس رویے سے تبدیل کی ضرورت ہے، اور سیٹلڈ ہونا ہوگا اصولوں پہ، پرنسپلز پہ، کہ چاہے اس کا اطلاق مجھ پہ ہو یا آپ پہ ہو پھر وہ یکساں ہو. ہمارا بنیادی مسئلہ یہی ہے کہ اگر ریاست کے چند ادارے ان سے میں مستفید ہو رہا ہوں تو میں ان کو والد کا درجہ دینا شروع کر دیتا ہوں. دیا ہے نا. جب مستفید نہیں ہو رہا ہوتا ہوں تو پھر شاید سوتیلا باپ بنا لیتا ہوں. یہ وہ مسائل ہیں جو سبجیکٹو انداز میں ہم تمام کو اس پہ سوچنا چاہیے، بولنا چاہیے، غور کرنا چاہیے. اگر واقعتاً ان کو والد نہیں بنانا تو ونس اینڈ فار آل فیصلہ کر لو اور پھر خود والد بنو. والد جب گھرانے کی سربراہی کرتا ہے نا تو ذمہ داری لیتا ہے. وہ پھر بچوں کے نان نفقے کا تمام کی تمام ذمہ داری خود اٹھاتا ہے. وہ پھر ہمسائے میں حمید کے والد سے نہیں کہتا کہ یار ذرا میرے بچوں کا خیال رکھ دینا. اگر حمید کے والد کی طرف دیکھے رہو گے نا تو قاسم کے ابا کا مسئلہ ذرا خراب ہی رہے گا. یہ اشتہاری گفتگو ہے کیونکہ آپ نے اشتہارے میں کی ہے اس لیے میں جواب بھی اس میں دے رہا ہوں. کھل کے پوچھا ہو تو میں کھل کے بتاتا ہوں.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency. My name is Umar Khan and I'm a 7th semester student from the School of Computer and Information Technology. So a lot of students like myself are about to graduate across Pakistan, and a lot of us would like to stay in the country and contribute to society and the economy as well. However, the best and brightest often choose to go abroad because they have better opportunities there. My question is, Your Excellency, what is being done to keep the talent in Pakistan and to develop it here, and what is the strategy that the government is taking to prevent the so-called brain drain that our country is experiencing?
I think so in the best interest of Pakistan is that we should have both. The youngsters should explore opportunities abroad, and they are not a brain drain at all. They would always remain our assets. Who's your Vice Chancellor? He was a fresh graduate, some days, somewhere here in the city of Lahore, and according to this definition of the brain drain, he went there and he spent 10 or 15 years or whatever, and now he returns and he runs this institution. Is he an asset or a brain drain? This is the phenomena we need to understand, the cycle. I've been saying this repeatedly, that why it is skewed and distorted, this whole... First of all, this is not a recent phenomena that the youngsters want to settle in Western Hemisphere, US, UK. I am witness, all of us know this, that the longest queues of the young generations are always outside the US Embassy. It's been a trend. Everybody wanted to go there because of the kind of the American dream, because of the kind of lifestyle, because the kind of opportunities they offer. Indians want to do it, Sri Lankans want to do it, Pakistanis want to do it, Bengalis want to do it, Brits want to do it, Japanese wants to do it, Germans want to do it. There is a huge global American influence, particularly America. And during the 60s, everybody was criticizing that, oh, the Indians population, a huge section is going and it is becoming a brain drain. Down the line, after 3 decades, most of the became brain assets. They returned to the Indian society, invested back what expertise they got from there, what capital they got from there, and it is triggering, accelerating the economic growth of India. So please don't take this as a negative tendency. It's not. We are able to export our services. This is our accomplishment. Why are we so depressed about it? I hardly see a reason. If he or she, anyone goes anywhere on the planet, they remain at least for 3 generations attached to this society and state. There is a classic case study of your diaspora in UK. 3 generation people are living still in Mirpur. They don't divorce from this structure all the way. Yes, we need to produce better human resource. We should focus on the quality human resource. That should be our concern. Best nurses, best doctors, best IT experts. We are compromising on that. We are not producing good quality individuals, and we are all worried about, oh, all of them have gone to the Western Hemisphere. That is the wrong concern. The right concern, in my opinion, be that you should focus the kind of skills they are imparting in such places like this. And that is a huge challenge. I am sharing it with you.
Please introduce yourself.
Assalamualaikum, Prime Minister. I'm Hafsa Khalid and I'm from the Institute of Psychology. And consequently, my question pertains to the mental health situation in Pakistan. So the mental health situation in Pakistan, there are regulatory bodies. There's Pakistan Psychological Association. There's also a task force. My question is, why don't they do anything? I've seen, and all of us have seen, a lot of unethical practices being carried out within the field. So why don't they actually do something to regulate mental health practitioners, as it is done with other fields, such as if you're a doctor, you are constantly being monitored. Why does that not happen with mental health practitioners?
Thank you. One of the challenges when I interact with the people, that they probably presume me in a role of a settled prime minister, a permanent prime minister who's got a backing of the parliament, where he can go back and do the legislation as a wrap of the executive, which in my case, it's not. On the other hand, there are people who just want to see that my face vanishes as soon as possible, even before the 8th of February. So this is the kind of a balance I have to keep. I absolutely agree we need regulations. We need regulations for the mental health practices and few other areas also. We lack good regulations, good rules and regulations even for medical education, be it for nursing council, nursing schools, medical schools. I have appointed a special assistant who can focus on medical education. And I would try to include this mental health also, because it's larger, the same family, you know. But we do have these limitations. I, as a caretaker government, cannot go for the legislation. The maximum which we can do and which we are trying to do is develop the drafts, put them in the law department, and once the parliament is there, the draft could be sent to them, the homework would be done, they may take advantage of that. That's all, the maximum we can do. Thanks.
Next question.
सर मेरे दो सवाल हैं आपसे. पहला ये है कि आप डिफरेंट यूनिवर्सिटी से आपको डिफरेंट स्टूडेंट्स ने बड़े मुश्किल सवाल पूछे और आपने उनका बड़ा ज़बरदस्त जवाब दिया है. ये मोटिवेशन आपको कहाँ से आई? और मैंने सुना है कि आप किताबें बहुत ज़्यादा पढ़ते हैं. ये शौक़ आपको कब और कैसे पैदा हुआ?
अच्छा, एक तो मैं पहली मरतबा 2015-16 में डॉक्टर आदिल नजम साहब हैं, हार्वर्ड में पढ़ाते हैं. उन्होंने मुझे हार्वर्ड फोरम ऑफ पाकिस्तान पे बुलाया था. उस वक्त मैं तर्जुमान था सूबाई हुकूमत का, और आई वॉज प्रिविलेज्ड टू एड्रेस हार्वर्ड फोरम ऑफ पाकिस्तान. देयर वाज अ ह्यूज ऑडियंस लाइक दिस वन. वहाँ से मुझे ये लत पड़ी. तो अगर आपने किसी बंदे को तलाश करना है कि उसकी वजह कौन था, उनका नाम है डॉक्टर आदिल नजम. वो तसलसल चलता रहा. फिर वॉइस ऑफ बलूचिस्तान में वी हैड अपॉर्चुनिटी टू इंटरेक्ट विद डिफरेंट यूनिवर्सिटीज, स्टूडेंट्स. लोगों को शायद मेरी पॉलिटिकल जर्नी का ये हिस्सा उनके इल्म में नहीं है. हम सेमिनार्स कंडक्ट करते थे इन कराची यूनिवर्सिटी, बलूचिस्तान यूनिवर्सिटी, खुजदार यूनिवर्सिटी, तुर्बत, वाइड रेंज. उससे लगभग कई सालों से मेरा तसलसल के साथ ये अमल रहा. और वो अचानक मैं वज़ीर आज़म बन गया. तो मैंने कहा चलो यार वो काम दोबारा करते हैं. तो मुझे उसमें पहले भी लुत्फ़ आता था और अब भी लुत्फ़ आता है. आप जैसे प्यारे लोग मिल जाते हैं, गपशप लग जाती है, यू नो, कोई अंदाज़ा होता है कि ये फ्यूचर जनरेशन जा किस तरफ रही है. और जहाँ किताबों को, मैं किताबें सजाता जाता हूँ, पढ़ता कम हूँ. वैसे ही मेरे मुतालिक जो है ना एक तासुर बना दिया गया कि मैं बहुत किताबें पढ़ता हूँ. कोई इतनी ज़्यादा भी नहीं पढ़ता हूँ, कभी कभी पढ़ लेता हूँ, कभी कभी पढ़ लेता हूँ. लेकिन आप लोगों को पढ़नी चाहिए और बहुत ज़्यादा पढ़नी चाहिए. तो इसको जो है ना आप नेगेटिव पैराए में ना लें. किताब पढ़ना जो है ना वो ज़िंदगी का सबसे खूबसूरत अमल है. आप देखें ना कि अल्लाह ने भी अपनी बात पहुंचाने के लिए किताब को चुना. किताब की अहमियत कितनी ज़्यादा है, वरना अल्लाह किसी और मीडियम और ज़रिए के साथ भी अपनी बात पहुंचा सकते थे. कादर है हर चीज़ पे, लेकिन अपने लिए भी उन्होंने किताब को चुना. तो किताब को मुकद्दम रखें, उसको उसका एहतराम करें, उसकी इज़्ज़त करें और उसके साथ मुसाफिर बन के रहें, सफ़र उसी के साथ करें. थैंक यू.
We're going to take two more questions, one from this side. Rida.
So my question is, आपने शुरू में बात की थी कि a successful nation requires efforts from both sides, the government and the people, because the government is a representation of the people, elected by the people. So my question would be, what incentive does a layman have to change their value system radically, as you put it, rightfully so? What incentive do they have to change their value system when the national structure rewards nepotism, corruption, and cruelty? Thank you.
When you want to learn lessons, you have to refer back to the history. That how the successful nations have gone through those experiments. Medicis were rulers of Florence for almost 300 years. And the Medicis of their time were the most corrupt and believed in nepotism and all kind of values which we criticize here today were part and parcel of the political culture of the Medicis. They would manipulate elections of the Pope in the Rome. They would bribe people, they would scandalize, and they would do all the ills, which were even ills during that time. It's not that those were the accepted norms. People do things which are accepted norms, but then time changes and you abandon them. But at the same time, Medici's produced people like Machiavelli or Da Vinci. So they were patronizing arts, they were patronizing philosophy, they were contributing towards the Reformation of Italy at the time. Unfortunately, in our case, elite has abandoned. They are doing the half of the Medici practices, but the other half they don't have even sense for it. And that is one of the challenge. Elite influences people. I am no denying that. Even if you go to the early path of Islam, what happened that the Prophet chose all the individuals who were considered and constituted as the Arabs' elite. So they were the opinion makers. And he invited them to get attracted to their cause, and then you mobilize your view. My problem or my challenge, I feel, is the elite, unfortunately, is devoid or bereft of vision. What do they want to do? I mean, if I've got a mansion somewhere in London or Manhattan or wherever, what next? What do I do? So this, what next, and what is the meaning of life, and those sort of serious questions, they are not occurring to our elite. So politics has to be translated through a meaningful dialogue. What is the purpose of life? All these serious questions are always pondered by minority. Normal people, they don't think about it. That's why there was one Socrates. So that minority has to think to shape up the view of majority. That is not happening. That minority is corrupted with the virus. So a new minority needs to replace that. So in democracy, you do it through elections. And if it's a non-democratic arrangement, then you probably do it through forceful means. In our case, we are still lucky that we are having a quasi-democracy. It's a transitional democracy, but it's still not happening through force. So let's give it a chance. Let's hope that people are not encouraged to apply force. If we do encourage them, it will bring us a disaster.
Right, on the left. Yes, please, the gentleman in the second row. Yeah.
My name is Rahman Kabir Khar, and I am a student of liberal arts and social sciences. So my question is that how are you planning on creating a fair playing ground for the upcoming elections? As I belong to a political family myself, and I have witnessed this firsthand, that our nomination papers are being cancelled without any reason. So what is your take on it and making a fair election?
Thank you. As I was trying to explain to her, I'm glad that you are a student of political science, or okay. I don't shy away from admitting that we are a transitional democracy. And a transitional democracy is, again, a discipline which is taught throughout the globe in different universities. We are not a settled democracy. Most of east of the Europe, from some countries of Asia to Middle East, North Africa, they are transforming towards the democratic norms. What is the essence of democracy? Is it just a ritual of one day that you have elections where the principle is that the government has to change through ballot? And that principle has to be accepted and followed religiously, just like a religion. that it has to come that way. When you agree to that, there is a next phase of democracy, and which is equally important, and that is the performance of democracy. The problem with the transitional democracy is that they fight for the principle of democracy, but they're not interested in the performance of democracy. When such situation occurs, then the forces which are more prone towards the non-democratic practices, they do take advantage, and they argue and they build their case on the non-performance of democracy. And the entire society is in the stress and strain. And everyone feels that they have got the rightful position of their own, with their own regimental and tribal thinking. If you go to the polarized position of the people who criticize the non-performance of the democracy, they say, oh, forget about this ritual. Don't you know what's going to happen after this? And everyone knows the answer, that yes, you have some basis to that argument, that what they're going to do, so and so. I'm not justifying it, I'm explaining it. And on the other hand, the principle of democracy are being violated by the same people when it is not in their advantage. They only believe in that principle when it is in their advantage. They don't believe it as a principle. 2018, 28, 2008, 2013, 2002, there is a whole history to this. And in that history, the people which we now see as the flag carrier who are advocating for this principle of democracy have been on the other side. And who knows, once they get settled, how again they'll change their position. It's unpredictable. We don't know. I don't trust them. As an individual, I have to vote for them. I wouldn't know that if they get settled with the forces on which they are on the confrontational path, so what would they do next? So once if they are settled, some same old practices, same old business, and same kind of an old hybrid regime to run this country, that basic question of civil-military relationship, which people shy away probably to ask me, that its challenges have not been explored, have not been answered, so the problem remains the same. What would we do then? There is an imbalance here. I am saying it. There is an imbalance, and that imbalance primarily is because the civilian institutions don't perform. So what do you do? It's a very serious debate. It's a very, it deserves more attention, more questioning, more nuances should be explored, more shades should be known, and people should come up with an informed opinion. Everyone should contribute towards it. This is a national duty. I believe in it. I don't doubt the intention of anyone who takes any sides. But be genuine. Be genuine and try to find out the genuine challenges and the genuine solutions, whatever according to your capacity. It doesn't matter that you're not the flag carrier of the gospel truth, that everyone should be known, everything should be known to you. That's fine. But honest contribution is very important. आप मेरे ख्याल में इनको मौका दे दें, ये बहुत ज़्यादा
Please, ask your question.
I wanted to take it back to the question of
Please
Balochistan.
introduce yourself.
I'm Najab from SLAS. I wanted to take it back to the question of Balochistan. आपने जब इजराइल की बात की तो आप बताने लगे like generally जो narrative रहा है इजराइल के बारे में. So Israel, let's say, destabilizes Palestine for like decades upon decades. At that point, Palestine से एक हमला आता है. फलस्तीनी इजरायली कहते हैं कि ये इन्होंने क्या कर दिया, अब तो हमें इनका पूरा मुल्क तबाह करना पड़ेगा. In much the same way, Pakistan, for decades upon decades, takes part in like the disappearances that have happened in Balochistan. At that point, the Balochi people, they throw some rocks and Pakistan says, ke, oh, hame arrest karna pad gaya. Right? So it's much the same situation showing up on both ends. How is in this particular situation Pakistan using its monopoly of violence in a way that's better than like Israel?
اوکے تھینک یو فار آسکنگ. اچھا ہوگا میں نے اس کو وہ دلا دیا. آر یو فرام اینڈ یو بلانگ ٹو لاہور اور کراچی اوریجنل. ایک تو جو انالوجیز انسان دیتا ہے, چاری پکنگ کرتا ہے, وہ بعض اوقات اپنے غصے سے اور اپنے باعث سے کرتا ہے. سب سے پہلے اپنے باعث اور اپنے غصے کو کنٹرول کرنا چاہیے, مجھے بھی اور آپ کو بھی. اور ونس یو ڈو دیٹ, اور جو پری کنسیوڈ نوشنز ہوتے ہیں ان سے ہٹ کے ان کو ڈیورس دے کے پھر ریالٹی کو ایکسپلور کرتے ہیں. اسرائیل 1948 میں آج بھی آدھی دنیا اس کو تسلیم نہیں کرتی. تو ایک تو یہ سیٹلڈ کوشچن ہے کہ آدھی دنیا کے لیے وہ ایک انلیجٹمیٹ اینٹی ہے. ٹھیک ہے. پاکستان 14 اگست 1947 کو لیجٹمیٹ اینٹی بنا, جس کو 197 ملک تسلیم کرتے ہیں. اب یہ ایک لیجٹمیٹ اینٹی اور ایک کویزائی لیجٹمیٹ اینٹی. یہ بنیادی فرق ہے دونوں میں. یہاں پر مونوپلی آف وائلنس صرف پاکستان کو نہیں دیا گیا, مونوپلی آف وائلنس تمام لیجٹمیٹ اسٹیٹس کو دیا گیا ہے. یہ جو اسرائیل کو بھی لوگ کہتے ہیں کہ اس کو تسلیم نہ کریں, اس کی بنیادی وجہ یہ ہے کہ پھر وہ لیجٹمیٹ رائٹ ٹو دا مونوپلائزیشن آف وائلنس ان کی طرف چلا جائے گا. پاکستان کے کیس میں, ہندوستان کے کیس میں, سری لنکا کے کیس میں, یورپین ممالک کے کیس میں, اکارڈنگ ٹو دا ویسٹفیلین پرنسپل, جو رائٹ ٹو وائلنس ہے وہ اس نیشن اسٹیٹ کا حق ہے. یہاں پہ کوئی بھی گروہ جو وائلنس کی طرف آئے گا اس کو جو رسپونڈ کرنا ہوگا ان ٹرمز آف لیگل فریم ورک, ان ٹرمز آف ایڈمنسٹریٹو رسپانسز, وہ ریاست کرے گی. بدقسمتی سے اس مرتبہ اس کا نام ریاست پاکستان ہے, جو شاید بہت سے لوگوں کو اتنا زیادہ اچھا نہیں لگتا, حالانکہ یہ تمام ریاستوں کا بیسک رائٹ ہے. بلوچوں کو یہ پتہ نہیں آپ کو کس نے بتا دیا ہے کہ بلوچوں کو ڈیکیڈ سے کیا کر رہے ہیں ہم, آکوپائی, ڈسپیئرنس یا انفورس ڈسپیئرنس کی اصطلاح جو ہے نا, وہ یہ وار آن ٹیرر کے بعد شروع ہوئی ہے. اس سے پہلے کم تھی, یہ نہیں ہے کہ بالکل وجود اس کا نہیں تھا, ہمارے ہاں کم تھا ایشیا اور ان ممالک میں. یہ موسٹلی جو ساؤتھ امریکن کنٹریز تھی, گویٹمالا, ارجنٹینا, جہاں پہ کمیونسٹ ریجیمز کو سپورٹ کیا کے اگینسٹ کوز کو سپورٹ کیا جاتا تھا, سمری ایگزیکیوشنز کر دیتے تھے, لوگوں کو ڈسپیئر کر دیتے تھے. تو اس کے لیے یو این نے ایک انفورس ڈسپیئرنس کمیٹی بنا دی. اس یو این کی انفورس ڈسپیئرنس کمیٹی کا اپنی ایک میتھڈالوجی ہے, دیر از اے میتھڈ ٹو دا میڈنس. مثال کے طور پہ میں کہہ دیتا ہوں کہ جناب بلوچستان میں 8,000 آدمی غائب ہیں. اب 8,000 آدمی غائب ہیں تو یونائٹڈ نیشن والے یہ سوال پوچھتے ہیں کہ جناب پہلے آپ نے ان کا وجود ثابت کرنا, یہ یو این کہہ رہا ہے, ریاست پاکستان نہیں کہہ رہی ہے, تاکہ پھر ان کا عدم وجود ثابت ہو سکے. آپ کا پورا نام کیا ہے؟ نجف. کہ نجف صاحب کے والدین کا نام دے دیں, سبلنگز دے دیں, ایکسٹینڈڈ فیملی دے دیں, تو پتہ لگے گا کہ یہ نجف عباس ہے, تاکہ کوئی اور نجف عباس بھی اگر ساتھ میں آ جائے تو پتہ لگ سکے کہ ان کے بیچ میں کوئی تفریق ہے یا نہیں. یہ ایک طریقہ کار ہے. اس طریقہ کار کے تحت جب 2009 میں یہ یو این کی انفورس ڈسپیئرنس کی کمیٹی یہاں آئی تو انہوں نے کہا, یہ لگ بھگ ایگزیکٹ نمبر نہیں دیا مجھے, بڑا لوگ کہتے ہیں جھوٹا ہے, جھوٹ بولتا ہے, ابھی گوگل کر کے دیکھ لو, انہوں نے لگ بھگ کہا کہ 50 کے قریب ہے. ٹھیک ہے. اب 50 سے پرابلم یہ آتی ہے کہ یو این چونکہ وہ پیٹرن نہیں اسٹیبلش ہو پا رہا تو وہ انٹرسٹ نہیں لیتا, ان کا ریڈار نہیں آتا. ان کے جو ہینڈلر ہیں وہ ان کو سمجھاتے ہیں کہ بیٹا آپ نے کہنا ہے 8,000 لگے رہو, تاکہ یہ پورا کا پورا اسپریڈ آؤٹ ہو جائے اور انٹرنیشنل ریڈارز میں وہ رجسٹر ہو جائے. باقی کس نے دیکھا ہے, ہونا ہے نہیں ہونا ہے, आपने भी तो इतना देखें पैशनेट होकर उसके लिए सोच रहे हैं, लेकिन पता नहीं करा है कि यूएन की डिसअपीयरेंस कमेटी इसके मुतालिक क्या कहती है। पढ़े लिखे आदमी हो, इन्फॉर्म्ड हो, इस इशू के साथ इंटरेस्ट भी है, लेकिन नहीं पता किया। वक्त नहीं होगा और मसरूफियात होंगी, लेकिन ज़रा पुअर असेसमेंट इस वजह से। बलूचिस्तान में जो साल से हो रहा है ना, नजफ़ अब्बास साहब, अगर आप वहाँ पर सिर्फ़ और सिर्फ कराची से कोयटा तक सफ़र करें तो बहुत सारी ये प्रोबेबिलिटी है कि वहाँ पे जो नॉन स्टेट एक्टर्स हैं, BLA, BLF, BRA, खाकम बदहन आपको भी निशाना बना सकते हैं। आप क्वालिफाइड हैं, एक तो नाम आपका नजफ़ अब्बास है, सारे समझ रहे हैं। दूसरा, आप उर्दू ज़बान बोलते हैं, ठीक है, रंग गहरा है। ये सारी क्वालिफ़िकेशंस फॉर एलिमिनेशन हैं। अब रियासत की जो ज़िम्मेदारी है, आप जैसा कोई एक ग्रेजुएट जाता है और वहाँ मस्तूंग टाउन में कहता है कि जी मैंने पढ़ाना है किसी को, क्या पढ़ाना है, पाकिस्तान स्टडीज़, अंग्रेज़ी, इस्लामियात, व्हाटएवर, और इन द प्रोसेस ये 2 अफराद BLA से BLF से जुड़े हुए हैं, ये आपको मार देते हैं। ये मैं ख्याली तस्वुर पेश कर रहा हूँ। और इस बुनियाद पे मार देते हैं कि ये रियासत पाकिस्तान को पसंद नहीं करते हैं, तस्लीम नहीं करते हैं, ये चाहते हैं कि इनकी अपनी रियासत मौजूद हो। रियासत की ज़िम्मेदारी इनके हुकूक के हवाले से ज़्यादा है या आपके हुकूक के हवाले से? वैसे ही हाँ या ना में जवाब दे दो, थोड़ा सा हल्का फुल्का कमेंट भी कर दो, खैर है। You are unarmed, they are armed, you have just walked in to teach somewhere. For multiple reasons they hate you and they just kill you. And I am the state, so what is my moral responsibility that I should be interested more in your rights or their rights?
I think your moral responsibility is to look at it with more nuance, considering the reasons that like BLA and all these let's say organizations वगैरह, your responsibility would be to look at it with more nuance and consider the reasons they exist in the first place, right? No terrorist agency, even if we call them terrorist agencies, just show up randomly.
Okay. I will later become professor. First, as a head of government, what should I do? Look into your rights. I will find out that why these terrorist entities have been created. I'll do it in a place like this where I am here either to learn or teach. But as a state, I have to give an administrative response. Do your rights as a peaceful individual has a preference, or those who have exerted on violence, their rights are a preference? I'm just asking you a simple question. I'm asking all of you. Let him answer, but I'm asking all of you.
If it was as non-nuanced as that, which it isn't, if it was as non-nuanced as that, then my rights would be more important.
Oh, I'm so delighted to hear that. Thanks. इशू यही है कि BLA, BLF और उससे रिलेटेड TTP, लश्कर जंगवी, उस पर तो कोई एतराज़ नहीं है तुम्हें?
You are using different organizations which...
No. Oh, so they're different. But they're both killing people.
No, the reason they are killing...
Oh, one is killing animals, the other is killing humans.
One is killing, let's say,
Just Punjabis.
Agencies of the government, one is killing individuals.
Oh, good. So agencies of the government deserves to be killed.
I think the point at which they have like literally worked to destabilize their existences, I think killing them is a very small response.
Okay. No, let me. मैं चाह रहा हूँ कि ये ज़रा ओपन हो. मैं चाह रहा हूँ ज़रा ये ओपन हो. कोई फ़र्क नहीं पड़ता. यही पॉइंट हमारा है कि जब इस तरह के रेडिकल व्यूज़ आएंगे, उनको प्रॉपर एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव रिस्पॉन्सेज मिलेंगे. No matter what. But we will not allow them that they go with impunity and kill people. और ये नहीं हो सकता कि इस तरह सिविल एंटिटीज़ की को मैस्करेट करके फरास बना के उस वायलेंस को रैशनलाइज करने की कोशिशें करेंगे. उनको भी हल्का हल्का देखेंगे, हल्का हल्का तेज नहीं, लेकिन देखेंगे ज़रूर. बट वी डू सी, वी हैव अ विजिबिलिटी एज अ गवर्नमेंट. हम इतने इम्बेसील नहीं हैं, इतने इडियट्स नहीं हैं. इन्होंने अलल ऐलान पाकिस्तान की रियासत और उसके पीसफुल सिटीजनरी के ख़िलाफ़ जंग शुरू की हुई है. हमने ये चैलेंज कबूल किया हुआ. देखते हैं अल्लाह मालिक के कौन जीतता है कौन हारता है.
Prime Minister, for being so generous with your time. Just one last question from somebody in the back. Yes, gentlemen. Yes, please.
खैर मुस्कुरा लो, क्यों, क्या हो गया यार? Good.
Hi, Mr. Carter. I'm right here.
Oh, okay.
I come from the filmmaking department, TFT. My question is more about artistic expression and the protection of artists in general. Now, I understand you're a caretaker setup. You're not here to pass on policies, but is there a draft, or is there, and if you could highlight, what are the exact policies you've implemented to actually protect their expression, their freedom, and their ability to actually showcase their art freely without any subjugation? Now, just a little context, I'm sure you'd understand. There's a phenomenal movie that came out this year, Zindagi Tamasha, directed by Sarmad Kusip, written by Nirmal Ban. It's a phenomenal film. Everyone has their own takes on it. If you've not had the chance to see it, I definitely recommend it. Now, this movie was approved by the federal government for release. This was approved by the Punjab government for release. This was approved by the Sindh government for release. But without any explicable or official statement, it was removed. It wasn't allowed to release. This is a man who's put a lot of love and attention to his craft, and it wasn't allowed to be released in the cinemas. So that's my exact question, because I want to make art in my country. I want to have impact in my society. But if this is the sort of, again, I'm not saying it's necessarily you, but if this is the attitude and lawlessness that we have in terms of letting artists express themselves freely, then it leaves us no choice but to take our creative freedoms elsewhere. So that's what I'm trying to understand. Do you have any policies right now passed on, ready for the next government, so when they come, we end this vicious cycle and we allow artists to fully express themselves?
You've just said it, whatever is dwelling in my heart. I mean, performing arts, other arts, creating it in different mediums. Do we have a policy for that? I'll be very honest that I had so many challenges, economic and political, right now for the last 3.5, 4 months, that I've not been able to pay attention to this one particular. But it is utmost important. When I had interaction in Central Asia, in China, and even in GCC countries, I've been advocating that let's have joint platform for creating this content. I mean, look at Arturo. It generated $2 billion, and there are more civilizational themes and other areas where content creation can bring a lot of economic